We can go in. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Lauren Wan. I'm the Climate Programs and Operations Manager at the Business Council on Climate Change. Today, I'm excited to tell you all about the SunShares program and how you can take advantage of our clean energy options. People are still arriving. We'll do another round of intros in a minute or so. But I'll start off with a little bit of housekeeping. So this webinar is starting with presentation, and then we'll go into our Q&A with the installers. And then we are also recording this webinar just as an FYI. And then the recording of this webinar will be posted to YouTube and our website, and it will also be shared with you in a follow-up email along with our slide deck. So no pressure to take any notes. All the good stuff that we share today will be sent to you afterwards. So if you are new to Zoom webinars, there is no chat function. There's a Q&A box below. There's a button where chat usually is. So to make the Q&A more efficient, put your questions in there. We'll be gathering questions from there both during the presentation and the Q&A session, and then we'll get to all of the questions after the presentation. So this is today's agenda. We're first going to talk about SunShares. We'll go into why you should consider going solar and/or storage. We'll also cover how the SunShares program works and talk about other things to consider when you're going solar. And then we'll go into next steps and how to sign up. And then we'll have our Q&A with this year's installers. And today we have with us Solar Union and Solar Technologies. So I see a lot of people have joined since I've just started. I'll introduce myself again. My name is Lauren Mon. I'm the Climate Programs Manager at the Business Council on Climate Change. And then I'll also take this time to introduce our panelists. So panelists, I'll just call your name out, and then if you could just wave, that would be great. I have my colleague Mara at BC3 helping. And then we have our SunShares pre-bid installers. So Ian from Solar Technologies, and then Carissa from Solar Union. Right, so let's get started. So Bay Area SunShares is a solar and storage discount program. What we do at the Business Council on Climate Change is pool the buying power of all 9 Bay Area counties to negotiate reduced prices for a limited time campaign every fall. So the goal of this program is to make clean energy more accessible and affordable, but also make the Bay Area more sustainable and resilient as a whole. So all residents of the Bay Area's 9 counties are eligible to participate in our program, and then the discount season is open now until November 15th. I mentioned that all residents of the Bay Area are eligible to participate in our program, and this includes these 9 counties. So if you live in any of these counties, you're eligible for the SunShares discount. You can sign up for the program. Some of our installers also might be able to provide service outside of this area. If you're curious and you live outside of any of these counties, just sign up and you can find out. So before we get into SunShares, I'll cover a little bit about the history. So SunShares has been a program of the Bay Area since 2012. We actually started as a solarized campaign, and we were actually run by the city of San Jose, and now we're with the Business Council on Climate Change. So BC3 has been running the program since 2016. And installed over 5 megawatts of solar and over 200 battery storage units in the Bay Area. So we've helped a lot of people through this process and are always excited to continue providing this service across the Bay Area. So SunShares is a program of the Business Council on Climate Change, also known as BC3. We are a membership-driven nonprofit, which was actually originally founded by the city and county of San Francisco and is dedicated to tackling climate change issues. So we do this through a Learn, Act, and Solve framework, which helps the Bay Area collectively accelerate meaningful climate action. So SunShares is actually one of the many programs that we run, and our role here today is to educate you about the SunShares program and other clean energy options so that you can make the best decision for you and your home. So before we get started, I want to hear from you. What are you interested in learning about? So we all took time out of our days to be here to learn about solar storage and clean energy options. And I'm curious what you're interested in. So we'll send out a poll. It's out right now. you can choose multiple of the answers, but I'll give you about 30 seconds or so to answer, and then we'll share the results. It looks like a couple more answers are still coming in. All right, looks like 90% of you have answered. So I'll go ahead and end it, and then I can share the results. Looks like a lot of you are really interested in solar and battery storage, and then also a good chunk are interested in other clean energy options. The good news is that we're going to be covering all three of these topics today. So now that we know what you're interested in, let's talk about why you should consider going solar and or storage. So I'll start off by mentioning now is a great time to go solar, and there are numerous reasons. The first would be financial. So this fall is an especially great time to go solar since you can stack the SunShares discount and the solar federal tax credit to fight inflation and any rising energy prices. So the federal solar investment tax credit, which I'll talk about later, was recently extended, and it provides homeowners a 30% tax credit for the cost of their system. So if you're thinking about going solar, now's a great time to do so since you can stack this discount with other rebates and incentives. Another reason would be environmental. So this next decade is one of our last chances to avoid the most severe impacts of climate change, and installing solar and or storage will not only eliminate your home's greenhouse gas emissions from electricity use, but it also makes the electrical grid cleaner for everyone. Another reason is economic. The solar industry is one of the leading creators of jobs in the United States, and clean energy as a whole is one of the biggest employers in the energy sector. So you can directly support the renewable energy industry and clean jobs by installing solar or storage, or maybe opting up to 100% renewable energy. And then finally, resilience. So to be resilient to the effects of climate change, we need a localized and decentralized energy system, and helping in going solar helps us get there. So distributed solar power helps balance the energy grid by reducing the strain on central power plants and enhances overall grid stability. So this benefits not just you, but everyone else in your community. So solar panels have been around for decades and are pretty much known as a reliable technology. Home battery storage technology we use today is actually newer, and it's growing in popularity. So we'll talk about why adding storage to a solar system is beneficial. First and foremost, adding storage to your solar system, that means that your power will stay on during a public safety power shutoff or other kinds of power outages. So solar on its own will actually not keep your electricity running during an outage. It needs a battery to store that energy and feed it back into your home. With a battery installed, you can also store excess energy generated during sunny hour times and use it when it's most needed, like the evening hours. And this reduces waste and it optimizes your energy use. Battery storage systems that allow customization can also get you more savings on your electricity bills. So depending on where you get your power from and what kind of plan you're on, you might be on like a time of use rates plan. So by charging from the grid when electricity is cheapest and then discharging your solar energy onto the grid when electricity is most expensive, you can offset more of your electricity bill. And then all of the battery options our installers offer have this kind of feature. So let's cover some basics on solar and battery storage interaction. So solar panels collect energy through the sun through PV cells, and then batteries store that excess energy you produce with your panels. So net energy, which is a term you've probably heard before, is the amount of energy you produce minus the amount of energy you consume. So you've probably heard of net energy metering, or NEM. NEM is also referred to as NBT, net billing tariff. But this is a billing mechanism that credits solar energy system owners for the electricity that they export to the grid. So, for example, if a home has a solar system on their roof, it might generate more electricity than the home uses during the daylight hours, and that energy is sent back to the grid to fulfill the needs of other customers, or it's stored in a battery. During the nighttime, when the solar system isn't producing energy, the home will either pull electricity from the grid or it will pull from the home batteries if those are installed. So with net metering, the customer can receive credits for the electricity provided to the grid and then is also charged for any electricity used from the grid. So you're then billed for your net energy use, either annually or monthly in some cases. And then in California, net energy metering is regulated by the California Public Utilities Commission, and we'll talk about the recent changes with net energy metering later in this presentation. So next I'll talk about how the SunShares program works. You have a few different options with SunShares, and I know you're all probably at different stages at this process. Some of you might be at the very beginning stages of educating yourself about clean energy and rooftop solar, and some of you may have had solar for years and want to find ways to become even more resilient. Either way, you're eligible for SunShares every year, no matter the situation. So if you're doing a new system, a battery only, or you're augmenting your current system. So SunShares installers offer rooftop solar installations. Like I mentioned earlier, with solar on your home, you can generate your own clean energy and help offset the cost of your electricity bill. The installers also offer the option to install both solar panels and home battery storage. So this gets you all of the benefits of solar plus the reassurance that you have power stored in case of an outage. And then finally, if you have solar panels installed on your roof, you also have the option to add a battery unit to your existing system. So this means that you can now store the energy you've been producing and keep the lights on when the power's out. So why should you go solar with SunShares? There are a few things that set us apart from other options out there. So with SunShares, you know you can be working with high quality solar installers. So BC3 does the research of finding a quality installer that we trust. So we selected 2 providers this year through a rigorous pre-vetting process who won't pressure you or rush you. They're committed to helping you make the best decision for yourself. And then as part of that evaluation process, we also negotiate significant discounts on quality solar and storage offerings from our installers off their regular pricing. And this helps Bay Area residents get some extra savings on their solar and battery storage systems. So our prices are also turnkey, meaning that they reflect the whole cost of getting solar from equipment to labor and permitting. And then finally, with SunShares, you have the opportunity to receive and compare proposals in one place. So this way you can get to know your options and you can feel like you make a good decision. This comes with no commitment necessary, so you can go through the process of getting a solar system proposal designed for your home with no obligation to install. So there's no kind of penalty if you don't end up signing a contract. So the installers for this year are Solar Union and Solar Technologies. These 2 SunShares pre-vet installers are chosen through a evaluation and price negotiation process with an external volunteer committee. So these committee members are experts in the local solar and storage market who are nominated by some of our outreach partners, like the City of Palo Alto, the City of Berkeley, City of San Jose. And we work together to select installers based on a number of criteria, which include the product offerings, so what kind of modules or battery units they're offering, the quality of their customer service, and also the competitiveness of their pricing. We also make sure that installers are properly licensed and provide labor and equipment warranties and also system monitoring. So these are quality installers that we trust and we've done our homework on. So one of the benefits of participating in SunShares is that you can make an apples to apples comparison between our selected installers. So every project is unique when receiving proposals from different installers, and it can be difficult to compare and contrast your proposals. So we give you a sample price per watt for both of our installers so you can make a direct comparison. This shows our exact product offerings in terms of solar panels for the 2024 season. All of this info is available on our website. And then these sample prices, these are actually sample prices that reflect the SunShares discount and are listed in the price per watt. So that dollar amount will be multiplied by the final wattage of your system. The dollar per watt price also includes everything that goes into installation. So this includes system design, permits, warranties, equipment, labor, and monitoring. And then pricing may be different based on the design, and kind of additional costs can apply based on what kind of roof you have or your home scenario. And we really encourage you to discuss this directly with our installers. So I'll leave this up for a bit. This is also available on our website, and I can drop that link in the chat right now. And then as a reminder, this will also be shared in follow-up email. So these are also the models of batteries that our installers are offering this season and the sample pricing for these models. These prices are inclusive of the SunShares discount already. And then there are also different prices based on if you're pairing a battery with a solar installation or if you're just adding a battery to an existing solar system. Prices are also per battery unit, and they include the unit itself, system design, permit, labor, and installation. So what does the SunShares process look like? To get started, you would fill out a form on our website. So in that form, you get to choose which installers you want to receive proposals from, and then the installers will contact you about conducting a home assessment, which can either be virtual or a site visit, and then they'll start the process of designing a solar system for your home and creating a customized proposal. So you'll receive a proposal from each installer you selected to hear from, and then you have about a month or so to sign your contract and secure that discounted pricing that you saw in your proposal. So how do you know if your house is right for solar and or storage? When installers contact you, they're going to look at a couple of different factors, but one of the most important factors is the amount of sun that you get on your roof for solar. So the installers are going to look at your roof's exposure to the sunlight. They'll also assess what kind of roof type you have and the angle it's at. And then in some situations, this can increase costs. They're also going to look at your energy usage. So this will help determine your system size and how many panels you might need. They'll also look at storage needs. So essentially, if you want to power your home like longer during an outage, you'll look for a greater maximum capacity in the battery. And then for more appliances or lights you want to be able to power at a time with battery, the higher power rating you should look for. So what's happening in the solar and storage industry? Simply put, the residential solar market is rapidly changing. So a year ago, solar panel module availability was kind of a constraint for the industry, and that's changed. So inventory levels are high and module availability is no longer a major constraint, but there are kind of solar tariff policy changes in the last couple of months that can cause supply chain disruptions and other delays at different stages of the process. So we really encourage you to communicate with installers about the timeline of your project. And a good thing to keep in mind is that timelines can be different between installers. New incentives and rebates are coming out. So the Inflation Reduction Act, which includes that extension of the solar investment tax credit, just came out in 2022. And then NEM 3.0 or NBT, which I'll talk about in a couple of slides, will be applying to those installing solar this year. The current demand for solar and batteries is also pretty high right now. So lots of people are recognizing that it's an important time to switch to clean energy. Just keep in mind that the timeline of your installation is also dependent on your project needs. So what type of installation you're getting, if you need a battery, if you need a re-roof before putting panels on your roof, that's all things to consider. But there are changes in the solar process that reflect the current industry, and we definitely encourage you to talk to your installer about the specifics of your project. So in 2022, the Inflation Reduction Act was signed into law. This includes the expansion of the solar investment tax credit, and the solar investment tax credit was increased to 30%, and it was extended for 10 more years. So it was actually set to expire. So those who install solar before 2032 can claim this tax credit for a percentage of the cost of their solar system or battery unit. And we recommend talking with a tax advisor about eligibility and exactly to claim this tax credit. So one policy that went into effect last year is the change in net energy metering. So residents who install solar after April last year will enroll in net billing tariff or NBT. This is similar to NEM 2.0 if you've heard of that before, as it credits the customer for energy sent back to the grid. But there are some key differences between NEM 2.0 and NBT. So customers under NBT are required to use an electrification rate instead of time of use. These electrification rates have higher on-peak charges and lower off-peak charges than NEM 2.0, but they still share a peak period of 4 to 9 p.m. And then NBT customers are also billed monthly instead of annually. One thing to note is that compensation for solar sent to the grid under NBT is based off of different export rates, which are specific to the month, hour, day, or weekend. For example, the export value of solar is lower during the middle of the day when there's a lot of ample sun, but it's higher during the evening hours. So export rate value compensation is usually lower than the retail rate for energy, but it is possible for it to rise above retail rate on early fall or late summer evenings. So battery storage systems with that customization or preferential exporting that I mentioned a couple slides ago are a great way of making use of energy that would normally be sent to the grid for a low value. So for full transparency, this is really new policy for California solar, and a lot of stakeholders are navigating how to proceed. So ultimately, the payback for solar systems under NBT will look different from those who are on NEM 2.0. Like, let's say your neighbor is on NEM 2.0. However, going solar and storage is still advantageous for electricity bill savings, and this is dependent on how you design your system with your installer. So work closely with your installer so that you can design a system that's best for you and with your savings in mind. So now we'll talk about other clean energy options for those in the Bay Area, not just solar and battery storage. But before we go into that, I'd like to send out another poll and ask, what stage are you at in your clean energy journey? So I'll give you about 30 seconds to answer this poll. All right, 10 more seconds. I see most of you have answered. We have a couple answers trickling in. Okay, I'll go ahead and share the results. All right, so it looks like a lot of you, about almost half of you, are just starting to learn about clean energy options, and also a lot of you have already implemented clean energy. That's great. We're going to cover one thing that everyone can do on this next slide. So one option that both homeowners and renters can do is increase the demand for utility renewable energy by harnessing clean energy to your home. So all Bay Area residents have the option to receive 100% renewable energy from their energy provider, whether it's a CCA, so community choice aggregator, or utility like PG&E. Every energy provider in the Bay Area has an option for a renewable energy plan. So this is kind of a table that shows the different options that an electricity provider offers. And depending on the plan that you choose or what utility or CCA you're on, it can cost just $5 to $10 extra per month. So it's pretty variable, but you can upgrade easily online. We also have instructions available on the SunShares website on how to find your electricity provider and all the links to the renewable energy plans on our website. So if you know you're on Sonoma Clean Power, we'll directly link you to the Evergreen renewable energy plan. So I'll drop the link for instructions on opting up in the chat. And then if you're going solar, it's important to make sure that you're designing your system to accommodate not just your current energy usage, but also your future energy needs. So, for example, you can get the most out of your clean energy system by improving your energy efficiency, which will help reduce your consumption, and then switching to electric appliances like a water heater or stove, and then also electrifying your transportation. So now I'll go into next steps and I'll walk you through how to sign up. So in order to claim the discount, you'll sign up and fill out the form on their website before November 15th. That is the last day to get in line for the SunShares discount. And then the installers will work with you and they'll contact you so they can create a customized proposal for you. So you'll have time to review the installer's proposal you receive. And if you like what you see and you decide to go solar, sign your contract before December 15th to lock in the discounted pricing you saw in your proposals. If you've already signed up, please be on the lookout for any calls or emails from our installers. They will be reaching out to you either by phone or email. And then I'll share the link in the chat for the sign up form right now. This is also a quick snapshot of our website. So if you're curious where to find the sign up page, it'll be under Get Solar and Storage. And then I also shared it in the chat. So if you want to save this link for later and need to fill it out after the webinar, that's fine. Great. So no pressure to remember all this. The recording of this webinar will be shared with you afterwards. We have a couple of later webinars coming up. So, we have a calendar available on our website if you're interested in looking at other webinars that we offer. We're going to have one later with Quick Carbon, which is another partner that we're working with this year. Instructions for opting up will also be on our website, and then that form for filling out the installer choices will also be in the follow-up email. All right, so now we'll move into the Q&A session. So it looks like we have some questions already. We're going to be prioritizing the most commonly asked questions and then kind of bucketing similar ones. Maybe while I queue the first question, both installers can introduce themselves briefly. Just keep it short, maybe 20 seconds or so. We can start with Ian and then go to Carissa.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We always really enjoy participating in this program, and I personally have been a consultant for about 8 years in the Bay Area, so pretty familiar with just kind of rules and regulations in the area. And yeah, we're really looking forward to kind of meeting with you guys one-on-one to figure out the best solution.
Hi, I'm Carissa. I have been an energy consultant for over a decade now, and really enjoyed being part of this program with you guys. It's my first year participating, but I know it's Solar Union's second year overall participating with the SunShares program. So I'm really looking forward to meeting you guys and sharing more about our company.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Carissa and Ian, for joining today. We have our first question about net energy metering. So this customer is on NEM 2.0 currently with solar and wants to know if they add battery storage this year, does that force them to NEM 3.0? And this can go to either installer.
Yeah, I'll jump on this one. So it does not move you over to NIM 3.0 by just adding a battery. So that's an awesome way to stretch your current solar system a little further and provide you some security.
And then a similar question, I'll let Carissa take this one. If you decide to upgrade, so maybe add more panels, does that change your NEM status?
Yeah, so if you add more than 10% of the total capacity of your current system, then it would actually trigger you to be put onto NEM 3.0. So you can only add up to 10% of your current system capacity without changing your NEM 2.0 status.
And then One attendee is wondering when the installers contact us, will they do a site visit or online only? So they recently remodeled and said Google Maps doesn't really have a current like view of their redesign.
Yeah. So kind of both. So initially, we like to start with an online consultation to kind of review some of the initial details, and then we will get into the site visit step when it becomes apparent. And then in our current situation, we do have a subscription-based service that has a little more updated imagery than Google Maps does. So we should be able to get quite a bit of that figured out online first.
Anything to add, Carissa?
Yeah, it's going to be the same as what Ian mentioned with Solar Union. We start off with a virtual consultation, and then we take things from there, and we'll schedule a site inspection after doing that first initial virtual consultation.
Another attendee is wondering if I install panels now, what happens if I have to replace my roof in 5 to 7 years? What happens to the solar panels that are already installed on my roof?
So if you need to re-roof, then we would have to come back and remove the solar panels from the roof while you do the roofing work, and then we'll come back to reinstall them. So there are some additional costs for that, but it's nothing too crazy, pretty reasonable price points. So just reach out to your installer when you do need to re-roof, and I'm sure they'll be able to assist you with that process.
Anything to add, Ian?
Yeah, exactly same over here. Yeah, well said.
And then maybe kind of as a follow-up question, do both installers cover what kind of like help they offer with homeowners who are interested in re-roofing before they go solar? Like there's contractors they recommend, or they have a re-roofing kind of construction offer.
Yeah, so we do. We work with several roofers in the area, and we are able to offer kind of referrals and paths forward for the re-roofing process.
And same thing goes with Solar Union. We have different roofing partners that we have previously worked with that we've had good experience with. So we definitely would be happy to refer you to the different roofers and get multiple estimates. And then you guys, can take it from there and decide what you want to do.
I think this question is for Ian. What's the difference between a Powerwall backup switch and gateway? I believe those are the two battery units you're offering this season.
Yeah, so the gateway is a device that is installed behind the electric meter, allowing backup to the entire home from that point. So if all conditions are met, we can provide whole home backup with a single battery unit. And then a gateway would just do a similar thing, but it would be for those other circumstances where that does not allow a backup switch to be installed. So same results, just a little bit different process.
Another attendee is wondering, I also have NEM 2.0 and I'm thinking of adding a battery storage unit, but I'm wondering about waiting until new battery technology, specifically non-lithium, comes on board. Any thoughts from installers about this one? Maybe Carissa, we can start with you and then go to Ian.
So the current technology really is pretty advanced, and I would recommend not to wait on the technology to change because you're not going to see all that many changes in the next few years. Maybe over a span of 10 years from now, we might see some bigger changes. But it doesn't make sense to miss out on the benefits and savings that you can get from the current technology with lithium-ion batteries. So that's my perspective.
Yeah, and all I'd add to that, yeah, I agree. And a lot of jurisdictions have, very strict policies in terms of safety and everything. And so I agree with Krista. It's best to jump on board, get some savings under your belt, and kind of see what's out there in the future.
Another attendee is wondering when installing a battery unit for an existing system, which is pretty old, like 13 years. Are there any issues they should consider?
Yeah, so some of the issues that we have to look at would be what type of inverter that you have. because there's two basic types of technologies. There's a centralized inverter or micro inverters. Centralized inverters, wall mounted, one inverter for the whole system, whereas micro inverters are individual miniature inverters that go on the back of each panel. So when we're installing a battery, batteries hold a DC current. And so when it comes down to having microinverters, it's already converting the current to AC at the back of the panel. So one of the issues would be either replacing or getting rid of the microinverters or adding an additional inverter to convert it back to DC to go into the battery, since the battery only holds DC power. So just one extra step figuring out, what type of inverter situation is going to work best for you. But we definitely custom tailor that based on your needs and the system size and capacity that you currently have.
And then another attendee is wondering how long is the battery life? And maybe with this question, we can also cover what kind of warranties both installers offer. So Ian, we'll start with you and then go to Carissa.
Yeah, on the Tesla Powerwall, the warranty currently is for 10 years, and it states that it will have 70% of its retention at that 10-year mark. So you could stand to expect somewhere probably between 15 and 20 years of a useful life on the battery, specifically the Tesla Powerwall.
And at Solar Union, we offer two different batteries. We have the Solar Edge Energy Bank battery, which is a 10 kilowatt hour battery that comes with a 10-year warranty. And then we also offer the Panasonic Evervolt battery, which holds 18 kilowatt hours of power. And that also comes with a 10-year warranty as well.
Another attendee is wondering, I just replaced my roof. Would installing solar panels affect my roof warranty? This could go to either installer.
Yeah, that's a great question. So it really depends on the type of roof that you have. I know with some particular roof types, such as like a foam roof, foam does require some additional coordination with the roofer in order to make sure that we don't void the warranties. But with most standard roofs like composition shingles or concrete tile, usually installing solar will not affect your warranty. But it's never a bad idea to contact the roofer and ask them and just make sure that they're not going to void any warranty by you going solar. So to do that due diligence prior to going solar is probably a great idea.
Yeah, exactly. On specific types of roof types outside of asphalt shingle, we often bring in either your roofer of choice or ours to kind of assist with that warranty process. And in some cases, they might have the final kind of sealing and job to kind of maintain that warranty.
Along the lines of warranties and life for batteries, how long do solar panels last? And maybe both installers can also cover the warranties for both of their solar panel offerings. And if these warranties include labor also.
Yeah, so on the REC module, we have a 25-year warranty. And it does include labor. And then on the Maxion, it's actually a 40-year warranty, just kind of the way they're designed and everything. So a couple different warranty options from the various product types that we offer. So we can definitely dive into that with some detail on our one-on-one. But yeah, generally speaking, 25 is a pretty standard warranty for the panels today.
And at Solar Union, we offer two different modules. We offer the Q-Cell and also Panasonic modules. Both have a very similar warranty that covers both the product, the performance, and labor for 25 years.
Another attendee is wondering about roof types. So sounds like maybe both installers can cover what roof types they don't install on or do install on. This attendee specifically asked about clay tile, aluminum, or standing metal seat. So maybe we'll start with Ian and then go to Carissa.
Sure. Yeah. Clay tiles just about the only roof type we don't take on. We recommend different strategies. One of them being doing a section of asphalt shingle just beneath some of those brittle clay tiles and installing on that and then kind of surrounding the array back with the clay tiles. But just about every other roof type we do have strategies for and to install on.
And same goes with Solar Union, very similar. We actually, this is one of the areas where we shine as a company. We do install on every single roof type that's out there. However, some roof types like clay tile, as Ian mentioned, require some additional work where we would have to re-roof with shingles underneath where the array would go, and then we would fill the tiles around that. Standing seam is one of the roofs that we love to install on because it's pretty easy to install on the clamps. Just clamp right onto the seams and attach the panels to the roof that way. We also install on aluminum roofs as well.
I'm gonna bucket these two next questions. Are there any consideration or limitations about where battery storage units are advised to be installed? And then also, can we cover if there's any fire risk and how is that assessed or mitigated for battery storage?
Yeah, so a few considerations, and certainly a site visit is kind of warranted when we get to that phase. But yeah, generally speaking, there are some space requirements around gas meters and electric panels and windows and doors. So there are a few things to consider when selecting the appropriate place for a battery. And then it's in terms of the safety mechanisms, it's going to vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, and often smoke detectors are required if there's an interior installation taking place. So there are some safety precautions in place for those things.
Anything else to add, Carissa?
Yeah, so we recommend to put the battery on either a north or an east facing wall would be preferable. Just a wall that's not going to be getting direct sunlight all day long because it's not good for the batteries to be baking in the heat all day. So if you don't have any exposure on a north or east facing wall, if it's south or west facing, we would recommend building an enclosure around the battery so that it's in the shade, and that will help prolong the life of the battery. And then in terms of fire risk, we've never had any issues with any of our batteries catching fire. So I don't think that risk really poses much of a threat.
Another attendee is wondering during the site visit if you're able to assess whether the existing system is functioning optimally. So looks like this attendee has an older system and they're wondering if they need to replace their panels or if their older system can handle adding a battery unit.
Yeah, absolutely. We can help with that process. What that would entail is having us look into the monitoring system that you have set up with your existing system so that we could look into the production and see if it's still working well and whether it makes sense to keep it, or if not, we can look at removing the pre-existing system and upgrading to a new system for you.
Anything to add, Ian?
Yeah, I agree. Same thing. Yeah.
Perfect. This attendee is wondering, this is a great question too. Like a lot of EVs contain larger batteries. Can they be and so they can be refilled for an extended power outage? What do you think of kind of the emerging technology for EVs as emergency backup?
Yeah, that's pretty fascinating technology to kind of keep an eye on, and we do see it kind of emerging, and it'll be an interesting path forward for that type of technology. Just for the sake of kind of getting an initial saving started, and without a proper mechanism for charging your home through your EV, still just kind of the standard solar battery combination is probably your best bet in today's world.
Anything to add, Carissa?
Nope, I think Ian pretty much said it all there.
And then I see a couple questions about rental properties. So the only kind of requirement for SunShares eligibility for the discount is living in one of the Bay Area design counties. I would say like for solar suitability, you're gonna have to work with your landlord to figure out if you can install solar, especially if you live in a multi-unit family housing. Maybe both installers can cover what kind of the process looks like for working with like an HOA or a duplex or just not a single family home.
Yeah, so we install on pretty much almost any type of home as long as you own the actual home and the land underneath it. So the only types of homes that we can't do are, for example, like a manufactured home where you don't own the land underneath it, or a home that's not on a permanent foundation. But other than that, as long as it's on a permanent foundation, you own the land and the building, then you can definitely move forward with solar. So that would include townhomes, and regular, residential homes, quadplexes, duplexes, all of those types of buildings would be totally fine. So yeah.
Anything to add, Ian?
Yeah, and kind of what you said, Lauren. If you're renting, there's still a path forward on that. It just may could be, consideration with the landlord or the property owner. But you are available to get solar if you do rent.
Great. Another attendee is wondering if a county inspection is required with battery installs, and maybe both of the or one or both of the installers can cover what the kind of permitting process looks like. So after you get your system installed, what happens between installation and PTO, so permission to turn on or operate. Sorry.
Yeah, so the first step after installing the system is for us to schedule the city inspector to come out to inspect it and make sure that everything was installed up to code and done properly. So that city inspection typically happens within a couple of days of when the solar panels are installed. Sometimes in some jurisdictions, it could be maybe a week or 2 weeks at the most, but it's pretty quick process to get that city inspection going. And then from there, we submit that information to PG&E and get your system interconnected after that.
Yeah, and exactly. That's about similar of what we've experienced as well in terms of turnaround on inspection. And then about halfway through the process, we have internal engineers that do compile a permit package for you and submit it to your local jurisdiction. So that is kind of part of the process as well throughout.
And I see another question. I think, Carissa, this one is for you since you mentioned microinverters. Are microinverters commonly used today? And then maybe as a follow-up, both installers can talk about what kind of inverters they offer with their solar systems.
Yeah, so microinverters are commonly used today. It is a premium option, so it does cost a little bit more to get microinverters as opposed to getting a central inverter. So the microinverters that we offer are manufactured by Enphase. And then the centralized inverter is our standard offering, and that is manufactured by Solar Edge. And it's an energy hub with Prism technology. So it's like a hybrid inverter that would function with the battery.
Yep. We too also offer in-phase microinverters. And then it will be kind of an interesting case of whether you, as a customer, choose to kind of go the microinverter route or just go straight into an internal inverter within the battery. So that may be in a matter of customization, case by case.
And another attendee is wondering if the warranty of what happens to the warranty of panels if the manufacturer goes out of business? Does either panels have an answer for this one?
Yeah, so that's always a tough situation when the manufacturer goes out of business because the warranty becomes kind of unenforceable at that point in time because there's nobody to call anymore if the company goes out of business. So unfortunately, there's not a lot of solutions for that other than just calling your installer, and then they can work to either get you a quote to upgrade to new panels or do whatever repairs might be needed. But yeah, once that manufacturer's company goes out of business, then unfortunately you do lose your warranties at that point.
Yep, exactly. I agree with that. And yeah, and just in this process and selecting a good product, then yeah, also reviewing and selecting a good quality dealer that's been around a long time is wise as well. Because of just what Chris has said. You kind of need a fallback plan if that were to happen.
I see another question. So signing up for SunShares is free. This attendee is wondering how much does the consultation cost? Nothing. You can talk to an installer for free. Signing up for SunShares is free. And if you want a proposal, comes with no commitment necessary. So you can go through the process of talking with an installer one-on-one. Let's see. You have another question about inverters. So if the current system is using inverters, is this sufficient for battery installation or are new inverters required? And it looks like this customer has Enphase.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those situations where we'll kind of dive into the details and find out, and kind of what we were talking about earlier. We'll start with monitoring, seeing how much input we're getting from the microinverters and kind of assess it that way. And then, yes, there will be some, opportunities or options presented for either replacing those microinverters, forgoing them and going straight into the battery, or kind of what makes best sense case by case.
Anything to add, Carissa?
I think Ian said everything really well. Just, with those microinverters, if you want to add a battery, you would need a second inverter to convert the energy back to DC to go into the battery. So there definitely would be a requirement to install a new inverter if you have microinverters. If you don't have microinverters, then you may be able to get away without installing a new inverter.
Let's see. Another attendee is wondering, are your systems compatible with integrating direct charge or transfer power from a battery to a Tesla EV? And I guess this can go to either installer.
Yeah, so the battery is going to provide power to the entire home loads. So when you plug in your electric vehicle, it will be pulling the energy from the battery. So the answer to that is yes, absolutely.
Maybe as a follow-up to that one too, we can talk about what happens during the backup needs assessment process. Like what are you looking at? How many like lights you can power at a time or appliances? So maybe Ian, you could cover that a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm kind of trying to find that question myself, but is the question just kind of what loads in the home we currently back up? Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we will kind of do an assessment at the time, and in the case of the Tesla Powerwall specifically, there's a really good chance that we can do the backup switch and just kind of take care of every load in the home in kind of one fell swoop. If that's not the case, then it will be a load by load case, and we'll look at some of the higher energy demanding loads and maybe separate those, and so you can get more power to all of your individuals. So yeah, something we can kind of dive into the details on.
Great. And then we have time for, I think, 2 or 3 more questions. One installer or one attendee is wondering if they don't have the right angle for their roof, can panels be tilted towards towards the south side by installing them at a different angle?
Yes, absolutely. You can do that. So that's called reverse tilting. And we do that very often with north facing roofs, which are, not facing the right direction for solar. So we can angle and tilt the panels up so that they're facing south. So that would be called reverse tilt, and it is commonly done.
And let's see, we are firing through questions. One attendee is wondering if gas or electrical service entrance needs to be relocated before installing solar. How long is the typical service interruption?
Okay, yeah, I believe that's pertaining to the gas main on the home. So that's just going to depend on its proximity to the main electrical panel. So that is not always the case of needing to relocate the gas main. And so if you are to need to replace your gas main, that is going to be done by, the local jurisdiction or utility. So that's kind of tough to paint a timeline for. But if you're kind of asking about just a connection, a standard connection for the solar to the electrical, that's typically a day, if anything longer than that. So a pretty minimal interruption.
And it looks like we've answered most of the questions. I see one question about Decra stone coated metal tile roofs. Also, if you have project specific questions after this webinar, just sign up with an installer or sign up for SunShares and you can talk to them directly, but we can we can cover this one, and either installer can answer this.
So it was a metal tile roof. What was the type of
It
metal tile?
was Decker stone coated metal tile roofs.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of experience with that particular type of roof. I think it is a very unique roof. But I know that Solar Union does handle all different types of metal roofs. So I'm confident that there is a solution for it. It may require special types of attachments or finding a way to attach the roof without penetrating through the seal of the roof. So we can definitely address the needs and, talk further about that.
And then, Ian, anything to add before I move to the next one? Perfect. All right, we'll take this last one and then close out the webinar. One attendee is wondering, what are general battery dimensions? This is pretty specific, and I think we talked about battery placement too, but maybe an installer can help with this one.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Yeah, at least for the Powerwall, we're roughly about 45 inches tall, 24 inches wide, and about 7 inches deep. So since that's the kind of the main battery offering, that's the dimensions you need to kind of consider if going to energy storage through us.
And then with Solar Union, our primary offering is the Solar Edge Energy Bank battery, and that is 31 inches wide by 46 inches tall and about 9.8 inches deep.
Great. Well, thank you both, Ian and Carissa, for helping out with questions today. That'll be all of the questions we'll have today. So if your question wasn't answered today, we have an FAQ page on our website. So your answer might be in there. Or if you have a project-specific question, sign up with SunShares, and then an installer will reach out to you, and you can, get all the time you want to them to yourselves in that consultation. So remember, you're not committing to anything by signing up for SunShares. And then I just wanted to mention before we close out this webinar, we do have another webinar with one of our program partners, Quick Carbon, which offers free home electrification energy plans. So if you're interested in learning about electrification or the other kind of clean energy options outside of solar, which can get you more value out of your solar system, we have a webinar available later this month. It's on the 30th. I'm just screen sharing the registration page, but I also shared it in the chat, and I can include this in our follow-up email. But we have a webinar later with Quick Carbon the 30th. It's just a quick half an hour. So if you're interested in learning about EVs or heat pumps or induction cooktops and how they work exactly with solar, definitely come join us later this month. But thank you everyone for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you.